See, Harry escaped the palace, but he couldn't escape her. Insiders say Meghan has made a cold decision. She doesn't need the prince anymore. She's throwing Harry under the bus, telling everyone he was never the real star, that she was using him all along. She is the brand now. Let's dive in.
Meghan has now decided that my sources are telling me that she is more powerful than Harry.
Picture this: Geneva, Switzerland, one of the most glamorous cities on the planet. Meghan shows up in a $5,300 Giorgio Armani black power suit, hair pulled back so tight it could double as a facelift, standing in front of giant light boxes on one of the most iconic plazas in Europe. The barricades were up, security was everywhere, the setup screamed world leader moment, and the crowd? 25 people. Maybe 100 if you count the ones who just happened to walk past and were too polite to leave.
Yeah, that's right. It was only 25 people there. We saw a photo of it. That was literally, I think it was something like 25 people there. And then she took a photo with the most racist person there.
That's it. That's the big solo debut. The woman who believes she is more powerful than a literal prince, more bankable than a royal title, more magnetic than the entire British monarchy, pulled in fewer people than a mid-level open mic night in a suburb. And the funniest part? She didn't even film the promotional content for her lifestyle brand in her own kitchen. Sharp-eyed royal watchers online clocked it almost immediately. The As Ever Marmalade reel she posted that same week was shot in someone else's kitchen, not the Montecito mansion.
The Duchess of Sausages dropped a fresh As Ever Marmalade reel on Instagram, and the kitchen the reel was filmed in is not the kitchen at Montecito Manor.
The woman selling you a $12 jar of jam as a luxury lifestyle product couldn't even be bothered to use her own kitchen. But sure, Harry's the problem.
And she, Meg, sees this moment as an opportunity to step on the world stage without Harry.
And this wasn't a one-off bad week. This was just the latest chapter in a story that has been repeating itself on a loop for 3 years straight. Here's something nobody talks about enough. This professional separation, Meghan going solo, distancing herself from Harry, rebranding as an independent powerhouse, this isn't new. This is the 7th time. 7th. Since 2023, these two have professionally separated, reunited, failed together, separated again, rebranded, failed again, and somehow convinced the media to cover each cycle like it's a brand new story. It's the same episode on repeat, and we keep watching it like something different is going to happen. It never does, because here's the thing about Harry and Meghan that separates them from literally every other human being on Earth: there are no consequences.
Their brand as a couple has not worked. It's never worked. Never.
When normal people fail, they lose their jobs, they figure something out, they get humbled. When these two fail, they just rebrand. Archetypes bombed? Netflix deal next. Netflix deal flopped? As Ever lifestyle brand. As Ever struggling? Solo world stage moment in Switzerland. The rebrand never stops because the consequences never arrive. And now, word is that Australia has already quietly pulled funding from the Invictus Games 2032 bid because apparently even the people writing the checks have figured out where that money actually goes. But don't worry, the 7th professional separation is going to be the one that finally works. It always is. The real question isn't whether Meghan can make it without Harry. The real question is why she keeps insisting she can when the receipts keep saying otherwise.
The most direct line on the marriage Shutter has put on the public record all year. She's gonna make more money by stepping forward by herself, not with him.
Industry insiders are saying Meghan has now decided she is more powerful than Harry. She's going to make more money stepping forward by herself, not with him. And honestly, if you squint and ignore every piece of evidence from the last 4 years, you can almost see the logic. Almost. Because people close to the situation are also saying, and this is the good part, even Meghan now acknowledges that Harry is the problem.
She knows there is a problem with Harry. Oh, now that is juicy.
She's this close to self-awareness, but then takes a hard left turn right back into delusion. And to be fair, there's a sliver of logic buried in there somewhere. Whenever Harry is standing next to her, every single interview, every single appearance, every single conversation inevitably circles back to King Charles, Prince William, the palace, the feud, the drama. The royal circus follows Harry everywhere he goes. And Meghan cannot escape it when he's in the frame. That part is actually true. But here's the thing, she's not exactly innocent in keeping that circus alive either.
Meghan wanted the spotlight on her work, not the chaos surrounding the royal family. I disagree.
The chaos isn't just Harry's baggage. The chaos is the whole brand. It always has been. But acknowledging that would require a level of honesty she has never once shown publicly, which is why the failed empire keeps expanding while somehow never actually succeeding.
For Meghan, the chaos has always been the goal, because the chaos brings headlines and attention.
Let's just run through it quickly because it's important to see it all in one place. Archetypes, the podcast that was supposed to make Meghan the voice of a generation, dumped after one season. With Love, Meghan, the Netflix lifestyle show that was supposed to relaunch her as a domestic goddess and cultural tastemaker, canceled after 2 seasons. As Ever, the brand that was supposed to be her empire, her legacy, her goop moment, so shaky that the streaming giant physically sent back unsold inventory. Jars of jam, honey, spreads, returned like a wrong Amazon order. And the As Ever website, the Instagram, the whole operation is now the last thing standing between Meghan and admitting that none of this has worked the way she planned. Every single solo venture, every single one has flopped. And yet, the narrative being pushed right now is that the problem is Harry standing next to her in photos, not the product, not the strategy, not the execution. Harry, the man whose last name built the entire brand in the first place. Word on the street is that even the people closest to the operation know the math doesn't add up, but nobody is saying it out loud because saying it out loud means the whole story falls apart. And speaking of stories falling apart, the privacy argument Meghan has been running for 6 years just quietly collapsed in the most ironic way possible. For 6 years, 6 full years, Meghan has maintained a very specific public position. Her children are private citizens. Their faces cannot appear on camera. Their names should not be used publicly. She made this argument with complete sincerity in front of the entire world. She built an entire narrative around protecting Archie and Lilibet from the media machine. And then she posted an As Ever Instagram reel where she used her son's name, shortened to just Arch, to sell a $12 jar of marmalade. Lilibet got a mention too, shortened to
Meghan's exact wording, Lil likes the strawberry best. Arch loves both flavors. Alright, so now we're talking about Lil and Arch.
the 7-year-old prince, whose privacy his mother has spent half a decade loudly defending, was reduced to a 1-syllable consonant cluster in a jam commercial. And the reel wasn't even filmed in their house. Sharp eyes across royal watching communities online confirmed it. The brand needed the names. The brand needed the relatability. The brand needed something to move those $12 jars because the numbers clearly aren't moving on their own. And when the brand needs something, apparently 6 years of very loud privacy principles become negotiable overnight. But here's where it gets really interesting, because behind all the Instagram reels and Geneva speeches and jam jars, there is a financial situation that explains absolutely everything. Here is a number worth knowing. $20 million. That's the rough figure sitting in a capital pool, a combination of inherited royal funds that Harry holds and has held for years. And according to people close to the household, Harry absolutely refuses to touch it. His position is that the money is for their eventual old age and to give their children a proper start in life, education, stability, a foundation, which genuinely is not a crazy position.
And the husband, he refuses to dip into it and says it's for their eventual old age and to help their kids get it.
But here's the problem. Meghan is running an operation, the brand, the household, the whole Montecito machine, and the burn rate is very real. Online sources close to the couple have revealed a 5-word warning Meghan has apparently been delivering to Harry across the working calendar. 5 words. I can't do it all. That's the pressure point. That's the warning shot. People close to the situation describe Meghan as effectively the breadwinner of the household right now, with the pressure on her described as immense.
Meghan said, I can't do it all. So yeah, 5 words. I can't do it all.
And Harry, in this framing, not exactly stepping up to help carry the load. So you have a wife publicly positioning herself as more powerful and more bankable than her husband, while privately telling him she can't sustain the operation alone, while he sits on a locked inheritance and watches. That tension does not stay quiet forever. And when you zoom out and look at what Harry actually walked away from to end up in this situation, the whole thing becomes almost impossible to watch. Here's the version of Harry's life that never happened, but very easily could have. Invictus Games, properly funded, properly staffed, genuinely changing lives. Sentabale, his charity for children affected by HIV in Southern Africa, thriving, without drama. African parks, conservation work that actually mattered, built on real credibility. A role as the fun uncle to the Wales children, a genuinely unique position in royal life as someone who bridged the institution with the real world. That version of Harry existed. It was right there. Instead, he let jealousy eat him alive, married someone who saw the title before she saw the man, moved to a mansion in California, and has spent 5 years watching everything he built slowly drain away while his wife films jam commercials in other people's kitchens. And Australia already knows. They pulled the Invictus funding. The people who were supposed to be the beneficiaries of his work are quietly backing away because the operation no longer looks like charity, it looks like a business running on fumes and a famous last name. Industry insiders are saying the goodwill that once surrounded Harry's philanthropic work is evaporating fast, and the window to rescue any of it is closing. Whatever is assembling itself on the horizon for him, Harry walked directly toward it with his eyes open. And now, the final move is coming. The one everyone has been waiting for. Think about the pattern for a second. First, it was the royal family's fault. Then it was the palace's fault. Then it was the media's fault. Then it was William's fault. Then it was Charles's fault. The blame has been moving in one direction this entire time, getting closer and closer to the man sleeping in the same bed. People close to the situation are already on record saying Meghan knows there's a problem with Harry. The professional separation narrative is already being planted across multiple outlets. The "I can't do it all" quote is already out there. This is not a coincidence. This is a setup. The scorched earth moment, where Harry goes from husband to obstacle to villain in the official Meghan Markle story, is being built brick by brick right now, one anonymous briefing and one conveniently placed source at a time. Word on the street is the people closest to the situation have seen this playbook before and know exactly where it ends. The blueprint has always been simple. Find someone to blame, build the narrative, move on. She's done it before, she'll do it again. The only question left is whether Harry sees it coming, or whether he's going to be just as blindsided as everyone else who thought she knew her. Either way, the brand has already made its decision. Harry was the door she needed to open, and doors, once you're through them, don't need to come with you. The merger is dissolving. The only thing left to figure out is who hits the floor harder when it finally does.